Alrighty guys, so this is the latest light from Nanlite, the Forza 60C, and it is a full RGB COB light. Like, COB lights aren't supposed to be RGB. In my brain, the first time I actually turned this on was just like hurting so much seeing RGB colors coming out of a COB light. Anyway, let's get into it. So funnily enough, on April Fool's Day of this year, I actually posted this reel. Okay guys, I'm not really supposed to show you this, but seriously, this is actually insane. Check this out. You'll find out about this soon later, but this is a Forza 2400M, M standing for like multicolor. This is actually insane. Look at this shit. Look how small this is. And that is 2400 watts and it's multi- FBI, open up! And at the time, I literally had no idea that RGB COB lights were actually going to be a thing, let alone they were actually going to be coming the month after. But needless to say, the tech is here and it's confusing and amazing all at the same time. Right, so firstly, let's just go through some specs and get all that out of the way. So the Nanlite Forza 60C is a 60 watt RGB LAC spotlight that boasts a CCT range of 1800 to 20,000 Kelvin, plus or minus 100 tint adjustment, a CRI of 96, TLCI of 95, full RGB colors and 17 built-in effects, which now you can actually like properly use with this RGB built-in. And I'll touch on this a little bit more later. It supports 2.4G remote control, DMX, RDM control, and Bluetooth control as well via the Nanlink app. It can be powered via the included AC power brick, but also 15 volts as well, which means that you can use the included battery handle, which uses 2 MPF batteries, or a V-Lock handle as well, the one that's already on the market. Now, like I said, seeing a COB light produce RGB colors, oh man, my head just hurts thinking about that. But honestly, this opens up a ton of new possibilities, especially for people who shoot like music videos. You are gonna freaking love this. So one of the first things I actually wanted to try was just simply color matching something with that extended CCT range. So before the Forza 60C, the lowest CCT value it offered was 2700 Kelvin on the Forza 60B, which is quite warm, but if you're trying to match something like sodium vapor lights, for example, it's just not quite warm enough. So I went out and tested out the Forza 60C and I set it to 2700 Kelvin first to see what that would look like against a sodium vapor street light. And you can see that it's close, but it's not quite there. But now when we crank it down to say 1800 Kelvin, you can see how much more it just like matches up. It just adds a little bit more warmth to the image and it just works so much better. Plus now, because it is RGB LAC, we get access to green and magenta tint adjustment as well. So you not only need to throw out your CTB and CTO gels, you can throw out your green and yellows and purples and all that kind of stuff as well. And because of this, we can go from something that looks like this to something that looks like this, literally within seconds. Right, now looking at the actual light itself, it is going to be very familiar, especially if you own, say, a Forza 60 or a Forza 60B. The size is almost exactly the same, however, the Forza 60 is just slightly longer, and it's about 2.5mm wider on every side. It still utilizes the mini Bowens mount, or the FM mount that the Forza 60 uses, but it's actually taken the DMX controls as well as the side handle design from the Forza 150, because this is just so much better and so much easier to use. However, it still operates on 15 volts and still has a full-size USB port for firmware upgrades. So it's kind of like taking the best parts from the Forza 150, added full RGB, and then crammed all that into like a slightly inflated Forza 60 shell. Now, if we compare this to the Forza 60 and Forza 60B, I was actually really impressed by how well this actually like stood up against those in these lighting tests. Like, I was for sure thinking that there would be a massive drop in output because of this new RGB LAC chip. Now here is just a really quick look at like how it compares to the Forza 60 and Forza 60B. But if you want to see a full comparison, I went through like all the different CCT range, the different modifiers and whatnot. If you want to check that out in full, I'll leave it linked up here so you can check it out. So now you might be used to RGB WW technology, which is what the old Nanlite fixtures uses, but this new light uses a RGB LAC, which is a brand new technology, and it utilizes a lime, amber, and cyan LED bead to create a full spectrum, which apparently RGB WW fixtures struggled to create. And this is actually the main technology that has made it possible to make this Forza 60C. Now the chip itself can't actually be seen like on the other Nanlite fixtures because it has this diffused piece of glass in front of it. I'm guessing that's to help smooth out the output of the colors, since if we look at like the chip configuration, the chips are quite spread out on the chipboard itself. But regardless of whatever this is doing, it's doing it very, very well, because if we look at a hue loop from the Forza 60C, you can see how smooth the output is no matter what color it's actually on. Now on paper, the Forza 60C is actually an 88 watt light, but the power's actually been calibrated, so basically each LED bead has a 60 watt power draw for all colors. And this means that illumination discrepancies between the colors will no longer be an issue. The Forza 60C now comes with this new RF FM45S reflector, and looking at the output from it, we get this super smooth fall off with basically little to no patches at all. Now this new 45-degree reflector honestly reminds me of the Nanlite Evoke reflector. Like, look how similar they look. And again, like I mentioned in my Forza 720B review, that line between like Nanlite and Nanlux is really starting to blur, and I freaking love it. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if you are going to use the Forza 60C with the old reflector that comes with the Forza 60 and Forza 60B, you will run into a few little problems with spotting. So here you can see that the middle of the beam is slightly darker compared to the rest of the actual light fall off, and I'm guessing that's just due to not being specifically designed for the Forza 60C. And then if we actually compare these side by side, you can actually see how much of a difference the beam angle is between these two reflectors. But again, if you want to see a detailed comparison between these two reflectors and all of the Forza 60 lights, I'll leave it linked down below so you can go check that out. But I really hope that Nanlite makes a full set of these RF reflectors just like they did for the Nanlite Evoke, because that is just so good. And these are just the build quality. So good. Now, being an FM mount means that we can use it with any of the Forza 60 accessories as well, and the one that I got most excited about was the projector lens. So since getting this and the extended gobo pack, I came across this particular gobo, which at the time didn't really make any sense. Like, you could potentially use this with a bi-colored light, but usually fireworks are multicolored. So now with the addition of the Forza 60C, this kind of scene is now possible. Now this is obviously over exaggerated with the firework pattern being like extremely visible and sharp, but I really just wanted to show like how versatile this light is going to be for people like once they get their hands on it. Now the other way I see this absolutely changing filmmaking is when people travel. So having a light that is small that can produce basically any color you want is an absolute game changer. And pairing this with like a Forza 60, Forza 150, or even both would be like an absolutely amazing travel kit that weighs basically nothing. And then you could even go a step further and basically just hire modifiers. So all you'd have to take is just like the lights themselves. So cool. Now in terms of fan noise, the Forza 60C has a smart fan, so it will basically automatically adjust the speed according to the ambient temperature. In terms of fan noise, I've set the mic up on top of my camera to be exactly a meter away from the Forza 60C, so this is what that sounds like. And then once we actually turn the fan off, we'll be limited to 25% of the actual output. Now as for price, the Forza 60C will go for $699 US. So it's definitely up there in terms of price for such a small light. However, the way that I've been looking at it is it's combining a lot of different products into like one ultra compact fixture. Like comparing the Forza 60C to the Mixpanel 60, which will set you back about $899 US, this will give you similar sort of output if you put like a softbox on the front of it. And then in terms of like this projector, there's literally no other light that can do the kind of things that this can do. Unless, for example, you wanted to get like a Forza 60 and literally buy a gel for every single possible color and stack them and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just so unpractical. But in terms of like who I think this light is actually for, number one, music video shooters who love playing with colors. You will absolutely love this light. If you own the Mixpanel 60 or Mixpanel 150 and you love like the creativity that gives you, but you want a lot more control to be able to, you know, like put a Fresnel on it or put a projector on it, then again, this will be a perfect light for you. However, if you literally do not use colors at all, Forza 60, Forza 60B is probably the one for you. But if you have no lights and you just want one light that can do it all, it's the thing to go to, because you can modify this, you can add so many different accessories on the front to make it work like basically any of the other Nanlite products. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at the brand new Forza 60C. If you did, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If you want to find out more about the Forza 60C or where to buy it, I'll leave some links down below. Otherwise guys, stay creative, just be you. Have fun.